I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a man. Do you understand? Half of my life is unplanned. Most of the time to this episode of Husband, Father, Man. I'm your host, Carrie Braggs, and this is a portion of our show that we like to call Conversing with Couples. This is where we sit down with married couples and find out what brought them together and what they're doing to stay together. So today we will be talking with Mia and Billy Tyus. I like to call them the dynamic duo from Decatur, Illinois. So please sit back and enjoy, and I'll be back after the video with a few closing thoughts. Well, look at y'all starting out. So, how is it going? How are you all doing? We are coming live today on Husband, Father, Man with just a look into a marriage down in Decatur, Illinois. We have Mr. and Mrs. Tyus. How are you all doing today?
Doing good.
Fantastic.
Well, we thank you all for being on the show today.
Thanks for having us.
So, as we like to do it, we like to start off our show with a fun fact. So is there any fun facts you might have for the people at home for something you all do together, something quirky you might do on a regular basis or something like that?
Go ahead.
I don't know how quirky it is, but a fun fact about us is that we enjoy doing outside of the box dates. So we enjoy doing things that we've never done before.
Okay.
And we make it a point to do an outside of the box date occasionally.
So what would you consider an outside of the box date? What would that look like for you guys?
So I think our last one was the shooting range.
The shooting range?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm from the South. Never fired a gun, never touched a gun. And we had always seen it on television, talked about it, but never done it. So we found a gun range here in the area, and we went to the shooting range.
Yeah.
And weren't bad at it either.
I like that.
And then went to dinner and...
Yeah, I talked about
So
it.
you went to the gun range and then went to dinner?
Absolutely. Yeah. We really, really did enjoy it. Again, it was one of those things we'd never done and had always talked about it.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Chose to do
So I think that does qualify for something outside of the box there.
Yeah, we always encourage couples to do something that they've never done before.
Absolutely.
Because we fall into the routine and that it gets boring and, so we try to keep it fresh and, exciting.
And I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So I just want to start the show off with that to let everybody get up close and personal with you as we're starting out. And we always like to hear the how you met story. And I was talking to Mia a little bit about it, and this is just one of those made for TV relationship type meetings. So I think you all might need to turn this into a movie. But I'll let you all go ahead and tell how that went.
Okay. So I'll tell my version and then he can tell his or we can.
No, that's fine. But I want to start by saying we met in the club, which they always say you don't meet in the club, but we did. But now I'm going to let you go ahead and tell the story.
Okay, so we live in Decatur, Illinois. Decatur is kind of small, and so a friend of mine, it was three sorority sisters and I were headed to a luncheon. We were all in the car together, and one of my sorority sisters said, "Hey, why?" And she was talking to all of us in the car. Why is it that Billy Tyus does not have a girlfriend? And so she started saying, he's handsome, he's really nice, he's smart, he's educated, he's successful, has a great family. She started, saying all these things, and in my mind, I'm like, wow, I'm going to meet this man when I see him again. I never met Billy before. I knew of him around the community, but I'd never met him before. And so one night, a cousin of mine called and said, "Hey, do you want to go to the club with me tonight? They're having a party." And I said, yeah. And so as I was picking out what I was going to wear, because you know we got to get our outfit, I picked out an outfit and I said, Billy Tyus would like this. I never met this man before in my life. Didn't have a clue if he was gonna be there. But I said he would like this, and so I put it on. My cousin called and said, "Hey, I'm on my way to pick you up," and I told her I was gonna drive because I had my name on my license plates, and in my mind, I said, if I drive and I park my car, if I position my car the right way, Billy might see my car and come in.
Okay, and so you said you had never met him.
Never met him before.
So you were just hoping he would be there.
Yep. Hoping he'd be there.
And so, Billy, did you know, did anyone tell you that she might be there that night?
And not at all. Here's the funny thing. I wasn't intending to go out that night. Like, we weren't regular club people. Neither one of us.
No.
Like, regular club people. We just weren't. One of the things that used to happen in Decatur is that people would drive through the parking lot of this club just because that's what we did, to see if there were crowds or whatever. You didn't always necessarily go in. I had been at an event with my mom that night, took her home, and I headed home, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to drive through the parking lot of this club. Not planning to go in. Mind you, I had always wanted to meet her. We went to the same high school, didn't know each other. We were in different classes, but we didn't know. We'd never spoken.
No, he was 2 years behind me.
Yeah, okay.
So,
yeah,
and he was a nerd.
I didn't say that. I wasn't going to say that. I was trying to be nice, right? So, and I was a nerd. Yeah. So anyway, so I'm driving through the parking lot. I had seen her out before, thought she was beautiful. Beautiful lady. Like, I would see her. I remember instances literally where I would see her. I remember seeing her at a bookstore, coming out of a bookstore. I'm like, oh God, I would love to meet her. But I was a shy nerd. I just was. So I just, yeah.
Right.
So in any event, I drive through the parking lot, headed home. I see her car parked, positioned. It's like, oh my goodness, that's Mom. That's Mia. That's Mom. I don't have any money. So I'm like, okay.
You didn't have any cash.
I didn't have any cash. I'm sorry. Right. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go in. Maybe if she wants them, I can't buy her a drink or a pop or whatever.
Right.
Let me go and get some money because I have to go in because I saw her car. I go to the ATM, grab some money, come back to this club. I come in. She's sitting with her friend. And she's spinning around on this bar stool, like a kid, which was really cool to me. I mean, because it was fun, okay? And she spins around, and I see her there. I first of all noticed this outfit, which
there you go. Okay.
It was fantastic. I'm just being honest, okay? It was fantastic. So I come in, sit down across the room. Again, I'm shy. I'm this shy
brother.
Shy brother. Yeah, I sit down.
He's shy brother.
She comes over and says,
I said, hi, my name is, and he said, he held his hand out. And he said, Mom, I know exactly who you are.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
That was a Billy D moment, right?
Right. I told you, that's something straight out of the movies.
Yeah, we sit down, we're in this club talking about books.
Right,
okay?
what books we read.
Yeah, what books we read, which was really, really
Because I was a low-key nerd, but I was cool, but I loved to read. Right. So we were talking about books that we read.
Yeah. In this club. So,
in the club, yeah.
Right. So that was how we met.
Mm-hmm. That was it.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like we couldn't have planned that.
Yeah.
That wasn't us.
No.
So.
Yeah, that's one of those things when I did that.
Sorry.
And so, once you all met, so after you met, where did things go from there? Did you all start dating after that, or how did things work out with that?
You gave me your number. Mm-hmm. She gave me your number, and about a week later, was it? Okay.
Like that
She
shoot,
called
it
me
was
the next
tomorrow.
day.
Oh, I called her next day. Okay. No, there's a weak story in there somewhere. But yeah, and then call her next day.
He called me the
Yeah.
next day, and then it was a week before.
There we go.
Because here's the thing: from the day we met, we've been booked and busy, right? So we are booked. Our calendars are booked, and we are busy people. I mean, even to today,
Right.
you know. So it took a week for us to actually go on our first
Connect.
date.
There it is.
Okay.
You know,
Right.
but we talked the day after.
Yes, we did.
And then we set up to meet for dinner,
Dinner. Yep.
and been pretty much together ever since.
Ever since.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So then, how long did you all date before you decided, you know what? We need to keep this together forever. So how did that go?
Well, it was interesting. So when we met, she had a past life, and I had a friend. We weren't dating. We weren't a couple, but I had a friend, and we met that night. So it was a transition. You know what I mean? She was transitioning out of something.
Out of a marriage.
Out of a marriage. Absolutely.
Out of a marriage, was going through the divorce process when we met.
Right.
Okay.
And so,
And I had a person I was hanging out with, and she didn't live here. So we were we met. We always wanted to talk and meet, but we had to transition out of those things. So
Okay.
there was a little bit of time where that happened.
yeah.
Okay.
And then as those things happened, I feel like that gave us a chance to get to know each other better, honestly, without it being a formal, we're a couple and all those other things. We got
Right.
to know each
Yeah.
other and become
Yeah.
friends,
Right.
which
okay.
I think was really, really good for us.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
I did.
Yeah. So we talked from the day we met. We would talk, you know. We had
Right.
that relationship that we would talk to each other and
Yep.
stuff. But
Absolutely.
we had business we had to take care of.
Absolutely.
In the process. So.
And then we did, and then ever since then, that was in 2006.
Yeah, and 3 years,
3
2
years.
years later, he proposed to me.
Right.
And then a year later, we were married. So 3 years from the day we met, pretty much.
Yeah.
So how did that proposal go? Did it shock you? Did you think it was maybe coming? How did everything go with the proposal?
I thought it was probably coming. I mean, Billy and I talked about marriage like earlier on.
We did.
You know, we're relationship people, so
Sure.
and we had a great time together.
Yeah.
We had fun, and we had a lot of family values, the same similar family values and things. So I knew it was coming. I just didn't know. Billy is the type of person, like, he's very creative, right? So I didn't know how it was gonna come, but how it came was a bigger surprise than anything.
I had it in my head that the way that I wanted it to go, and I knew that first of all, before the action, I went out ring shopping. I had it in my mind first of all that this is a lady that I want to spend the rest of my life with. And people often ask, "How did you know?" or "When did you know?" I think a lot of times with guys, it comes to you. I mean, it's
Right.
not like it was on this day that I said, you know, this is the woman that I want to spend the rest of my life with. But I began to feel like I don't want to be without her. Like, I can't see being without her. And I want us to be together and build a family. And so that started to become my thought. So
Okay.
once that happened, ring shopping, bought ring, I knew that, as corny as it may sound to some people, I needed to ask her dad. And
Old
that
school.
actually was, yeah, it is. But that was, I don't know why I was afraid, but I was. So one day I went to her dad's house and sat on his couch and twiddled my thumbs and beat around the bush and asked. And you have to know her father. He is like the coolest guy like ever. Like, he doesn't get too worked up about anything, you know. And I'm nervous, but I asked him, and he was like, "Okay, say you do, okay." Yeah.
I guess he made you sweat a little bit.
Right. So we did that, and it was like, whew. So, he's okay. So we all were going to New Orleans for Essence Fest. His dad and his significant other, her dad and his significant other, me and Mia, were going to New Orleans to Essence Fest. So I planned to do it then. So we went. We were all there and went to dinner, and after that, fireworks. And I planned to do it with the fireworks in the background and all the good stuff. Didn't work out that way because I'm trying to position things, and it didn't really work out.
And it was like a lot of people there. It was probably more than he probably thought would be, and it was just crowded. You know, it was just one of those. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So we proposed.
Went to the room.
After that, went to the room, proposed, and
he did it in the room.
Yeah, I did.
And so it threw me off because I thought it was going to be this big thing.
It was supposed to be.
And it was supposed to be, but it wasn't. But that was the beauty of it for me because I was surprised, you know. And so it was a beautiful thing to me. You know, every setup, I was thinking that, oh, he's going to do it here or he's going to do it here. And so I was completely caught off guard. And that was the beautiful part about it all, you know, for me.
So, did you cry?
Probably. Or maybe a tear a little bit.
Right?
Yeah. It wasn't, you know, I mean, I'm just hard like that.
Right, you know, and that's why I just had to ask, because you just never know how it goes with the proposal and like with the weddings.
Yeah.
Sometimes the groom will cry and the bride won't, or vice versa, or sometimes they're crying together. You just never know.
Yeah.
That's the funny thing. I'm the crier in this relationship. Like I cry when the wind blows. So.
So then you say you proposed, and then a year later, you all got married.
Yeah, we were proposed. He proposed to me on July 4th of July, and then the following year, Memorial Weekend in May, we were married.
Right.
And it was, you know, when God is in it, and I can't talk about this without putting God in it, because He was all up and through everything. From the day that we met, not knowing if this man was going to be at the club or not, in the club, you know, and me saying that Billy would like this. I'm going to drive my car and position it to where if he came through, he'll see it. Never met him before, how all of this stuff just happened, you know. And I'm going to tell you something else about God and how to write things down that your heart desires. I used to write down, I wanted twins. Like, I always wanted twins. I wanted a pink one and a blue one. That's what I was saying. A pink one and a blue one. And I wanted them before I turned 40, you know. And my heart desired that thing. My heart desired a man that would adore me, you know, care about me just as much as I cared about him. You know, I just wanted to have a relationship where we adored each other, where we built this family, and then we just did things together and took pictures and just laughed and had a good time. And so I have to tell you that Billy came into my life. When he first came into my life, that first year and a half, I would say, we traveled everywhere. Like, we went so many different places. It was like God was catching us up for the lost time. That's what it felt like, because we were constantly doing things and going places, and it was like we were in fast forward. You know, we went to Belize and zip lined through the rainforest. We went into Times Square and watched the ball drop in Times Square the first year. You know, it was just it was incredible. And so he's a great courter. Like, he dated me so hard, you know. Like, I would have been crazy not to marry this man. But I would have to say, the day we got married, and I say this, and I tell people, even if you know, giving up we sacrificed certain things. We came together and sacrificed certain things. And I'm gonna say this. I don't know if you want it aired or not, but we sat down and we talked about even being intimate together, and we wanted to wait until we made a decision. And it was later on in our relationship that we decided to say, you know what, let's do right by God. You know,
that's a good thing.
We decided to just not be intimate with each other. And for a period of time and until we got married. Right. And that sacrifice, I'm going to tell you what God did for us. And I believe this with everything inside of me. The day we got married, this was the same day we conceived twins.
Wow.
Boy and a girl. I had a pink one and a blue one at 39 years old.
Wow.
Before I turn, I get emotional even thinking about it. But before I turn 40, and that sacrifice is, God is real.
There's an order to things.
Yes,
absolutely.
Because it was sacrifice. It was a sacrifice to the flesh, but it was obedience to God and His commands, and
that's exactly
so
right.
that's why He blessed you and honored that. And people do need to hear that, because so many times people don't factor in sex as a big thing.
Oh,
they
it's
just kind of go for it. But because
we underestimate it.
It brought down a lot of people in the Bible, and it's running rampant and causing much damage to people and marriages and families. So I think people do need to hear that testimony, and I thank you for including that on the video.
And I have to say this, Carrie. It not only it was like he was holding on to. Sometimes you can be connected with the wrong person too. And like I said, I was in a relationship before I met Billy, and everything that I desired those things before, and sometimes if you're not connected with the right person, you don't get those things, because guess what? If I was being blessed like that, that would mean he was being blessed like that, Right. And sometimes we're not deserving of certain things. You know what I'm saying? So he held those things for me, and that's the picture that I had. Like, he was holding all of my desires until he got me with the right person. Right. And then he just released some stuff. The house that we're sitting in today, I wrote this down. The kids, I mean, everything that I desire the house, and be specific, people, about y'all desires, what you want, because I wanted a house in a cul-de-sac. Do you know that circle outside of our front? I wanted a big backyard. Man, we got so much yard right there. It just, God is real, Right, God is real.
And He truly does bless you, because that's all He calls for, is us to be obedient. And it's not a call for like a mean parent or anything. He's saying, trust me. Trust me, I will protect you. I will guide you, just as we do as parents. And so, as you were saying, He was holding those things to bring Billy along. And that moves me to the next question, because it's kind of like you already answered it, but you can go deeper into it, which is how you all got on that one accord. Because that's the thing. He brought you all together before He released those desires, because He knew that, as you said earlier, He would take care of you. He would comfort you. He would be there for you to help those dreams come true, and encourage you and continue to uplift you. And so I think a lot of people don't understand what it means to be on one accord. So how do you all think that you got to that point in your marriage where you were just seeing these things and just moving as one?
I think some of it, honestly, has been that, as Mia said, we're of similar sort of attitudes. I think we have similar wants and desires in life, and I think we're generally good people who are well intentioned, and so we try and work towards the same things. I mean, in terms of being on one accord, we know right from wrong. We know, we're here for one another. We love one another, and our actions have to be out of love. We feel like those kinds of things. We understand those kinds of things. Right. I think that a part of growing in a marriage is realizing that you're not always going, honestly, to be on that same accord. You're not always going
Right.
to agree. You're not always going to see things a certain way. But you have to try as best you can to be willing to talk about it
Right.
and to work through it. You know? So, there are days where we disagree vehemently. I mean, there are days when we argue. There are days when we're mad and not speaking.
Right.
That happens.
Right.
It just does. But I think we both know that we love each other.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I know. We know that we love each
Right.
other. And we know that we have to figure out what's best for this marriage and for this household and to work through it. It's
like
not
that.
a situation where we're saying, okay, I'm mad at you. I'm never going to speak to you again, and I'm going to go out and do this and that or whatever, which so many couples do.
Right.
They do. It's not that for us. It's we can be upset with one another or mad at each other, or we do sometimes. But I think we both understand that our goal is to figure out how to work through it in a way that's best for you and for me and for this family.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So-
I don't know how you feel.
So I'll give an example. We had earlier on in our marriage, we had a lot of things to happen like within a really, really short period. Within a year, we got married. 9 months later, we had twins, right? I then took an opportunity in Chicago. So Billy was the sole, parent here, right? With the kids. They were 9 months old. And then he got a promotion. And so a lot of things were happening for us like really, really quick.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had to seek counseling for that. Because there was a certain level of resentment that was being built up in our relationship. I was gone away, I thought he was coming. He accepted a promotion. So then, where does that leave us?
Right.
Because he was supposed to be coming to Chicago with me,
And true. And I had this building resentment. We talked about her taking this job and going, but I couldn't understand how you would do that with two brand new babies, and we just got married, and so she's building a resentment towards me for not coming. I'm building a resentment towards her for going.
Right.
And so it's like, and we have all these in the as part of all that, we've got all these other things happening,
Right.
and it's
Right.
we sought counseling.
We did. We had to go get someone to help us to figure it out.
Yeah.
And we were not embarrassed to do that.
No.
Right. You can't be embarrassed. I think that's part of the thing to where you have to look at it like, hey, my marriage and my family are what's important, and we're supposed to
exactly
do
right.
any and everything we can to preserve that and
Exactly
keep
right.
it together.
And I will tell you this because these are things that we have to be careful about. We were in counseling, and our counselor, she said that, okay, so what's happening is you have a lot of stressors. And she started going down the line. You got married, you moved in together. We were not living together, so we moved in together. You bringing that together. Then you find out you're pregnant. Then you find out it's twins. Then you had the kids. And so I'll never forget, I was driving to Chicago. On my way, I would drive to Chicago Monday morning. And it just hit me all of a sudden. And she said that we had stressors. And what was happening is that we were in overflow. Mm-hmm. Everything that we had was great things. And we have to be careful about the language that we use and put in our spirit, because she called them stressors. They were blessings. All of this stuff that was going on was great stuff. And we came into overflow so quick. But see, that's when you're obedient before you get married. And then these things are released to you. And it's like, oh my gosh, we're in overflow. So how do we handle
Right.
overflow.
How do you handle
This is
when he
great
opens
stuff.
that window of
Yes.
blessings,
Blessings
and
that you don't
pouring?
have room enough.
Right.
Like I didn't have room enough to receive Naperville. You know what I'm saying? Because he was receiving promotions, going, getting ready to almost, be number 2 in Decatur. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like, okay, we were like, it was beautiful after I figured out what was going on.
Right.
And so we had to figure out, okay, what makes sense for our family and what's best for our family right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I came home and the resentment wasn't, it wasn't like it was. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we just had to figure it out.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's good how you all explain that, because it's one of those things to where that's the key thing. You said that we had to figure it out. We had to come together and see what's best for our marriage and for our family.
That's exactly
and I think a lot of times we try to figure it out on our own instead of with our spouse.
Right.
But
Very
as you
true.
said, you went to counseling because you did something to say, hey, we don't have time to get embarrassed about this. Look, this is my
We
life.
loved each other. And
Yeah.
that's the thing
Right.
about
Right.
it.
Yeah.
We love,
Right.
like, we not being together wasn't an option. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We just needed to figure out how do we do it.
Right.
Right. And,
I had, I've been a career woman all of my life. And so how do I do this? You know what I'm saying? I had plans for us as a family. Naperville had the number 1 schools in the state. I'm like, okay, I could go set it up. And then you come, and then before you know it, our kids will be in school, and this will be,
Right.
and then he gets a promotion, and it's
Right.
like, oh my God.
It's
What
like,
happens
right,
to,
what-
the plan?
what's that about? Yeah.
Right. And so we just had to figure out what we could do, to do the right thing for our family. So.
Okay. And so within that, what advice would you give young couples in marriage? Because what you just said about counseling, I think that's very important, because we've never been afraid of those things within our marriage as well. It's like, hey, whatever it takes to keep us together, because we made our vows, and I'm not going nowhere, and I don't want you going nowhere, so what are we going to do? And so within that, statistics say that a lot of marriages break up within 3 to 5 years, and I think it's because they are embarrassed to go to a counselor, or they don't seek out help and things like that. So what would you tell couples about what they should do early on in their marriage? Because it's coming. As you were saying, you come together, you've been doing things one way, he's been doing one thing, and now all of a sudden you bring it together, and now you have to actually create a new path for you to walk together. So what advice would you give young couples?
One of the things I would say is that you have to realize that your marriage is your marriage, and what works for you is what's most important. And what I mean by that, people tend to have a lot of different people in their ears.
Mm-hmm.
Family, mama, daddy, cousins, uncles, friends, who may be well intentioned, but who can dictate, who feel like they can dictate to you what should work in your marriage. No, what works in your marriage is what works in your marriage,
Right.
and it's for you and your spouse to decide what works for you. And you have to keep all those other things, honestly, as hard as it might be for some people, out of it.
Yes.
And you have to be clear to those folks that, hey, this is my house. This is my house.
Right.
Don't let 'em in.
This is our house, and this is how we're doing this. You
Right.
can accept it, or you cannot. That's your choice.
Right.
But this is how
That's
this
not
is
our
going to work.
business.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
How you
But
feel about us is not,
It's
our,
not
business.
our business. And you have to do that early on. And a lot of times with people you love.
Nip it in the bud.
Because
Usually
if
it's
you
the
don't-
people you love.
Right. Because if you don't,
Right.
there will be this infiltration, and it can cause fractures and fissures in your
Chaos.
in your relationship.
Right.
Before you know it, y'all like this,
Yep.
and then you're like this.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think it's very important to realize that your marriage is what you need to make sure that you're responsible for how it works.
Yeah.
Right.
And those other things, you have to make sure that you keep them out.
And a friend of mine, she said it perfectly. She said, "You protect it at all costs. Your marriage, you protect that thing at all costs. Don't let people, and only you or your spouse can break up your marriage. You're the only ones that can break up your marriage. Nobody else can break up your marriage. If you let people in, that's you letting people in. If y'all have this thing and it's like no one's coming up in here to do anything, you're good, and mean it.
It's not always infidelity.
No, it's not. No, it could be just
It
people
could,
just
be
talking,
any little thing.
Yeah, trying to tell you how to do things,
Right.
But I would say too is to understand that everyone comes from somewhere different. So Billy was raised by his mom and dad, and they were in a loving relationship. I was raised by my mom and dad, but they were not really together. You know what I'm saying? So we had a way. I was the third child. Billy was an only child.
Right.
We have to understand those dynamics and understand what people come with. I don't expect Billy to think like I think. I don't expect him to do a lot of things like I do, but I respect how he do things, and he respects me.
Right.
So we have make sure you keep the respect in the relationship, and understand that you come from different places, so you're gonna bring something different, and that's a good thing.
Right, and that's the struggle. Sometimes the people don't know how to bring those two worlds together and create this new world with each other. So I've seen that. So that's some good advice. Now, I would like to ask, what legacy do you all hope to leave based off of your marriage and how you live and raise your children? What legacy would you like the world to know that you left behind?
So the legacy that I would love to, I think about Billy and I, and I've been using this term lately, and it kind of came to me as lighthouse love. And so it's a legacy of hope.
Oh, I like that.
It's like in a world that you don't have a lot of people, especially that look like us, on one accord, and that really just want to love and to live and be about their family. It's like that lighthouse light that's flickering, like this is possible, you can do this. And so I want to let people know that you can have that type of relationship where you adore each other, and you want to be together, and you want to be about family, and you're excited about it, and you want it more than anything, and it's possible.
Yes,
that's the legacy that I want people to know from us looking at what we have.
A couple things. One, I want in my family, my son as well, but I want my daughter to see what a loving relationship looks like. I want her to understand that loving your wife and showing her you love her and protecting her in your home at all costs is normal, and that's what it's supposed to look like, because I think so many girls, ladies now, don't see that. I want that to be normal for her, so she has no question of what that looks like. I want that for my son as well, to know how he is supposed to treat his wife, his girlfriend or his wife or what have you. I feel like we have a good life and we have a fun life. So often people look at marriages and the kind of the attachment is something negative. Is you're gonna do what? You're gonna get married? Forever. I mean, just all of those things. Why would you do that for what? All that. I want people to see that marriage is a beautiful thing, and it is fun, and it is exciting, and you can live that life where y'all kicking it and just enjoying things, enjoying each other, and that, because again, so many times I feel like the connotation attached to a marriage by a lot of people is that it's a bad thing. And it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. You can make it whatever you want it to be.
Okay, and I like that, and that's true, because people have the ball and chain,
Oh, yeah.
and you whipped and all of these
Right.
different things. So when
Impact, whip,
right.
lawless.
Like,
And
yes,
when
I
they-
am. Yes,
right,
I am.
exactly. And when they say
Yeah,
that to
you
me, I'm
told me
like,
that.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'm here, back. I'm going straight home.
I'm
Yep,
going
As
show
long as you
is.
got
See
the
you
right
later.
hand. As long as you got the right hand.
Exactly. And so, hey, I'm with you, brother.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
And so I just have one last question for you all before we close out here. I know you all usually have different things going on. You have the radio show going on. And so what new ventures do you have on the horizon? I believe you just recently started a podcast.
Yeah.
Or you're starting a podcast.
We're absolutely, and thank you for putting that out in the universe.
Right.
We are starting a podcast, and we've done an episode. We're going to be doing several more here soon, called "Welcome to Forever Ever."
I like that.
Everybody's not everybody. A lot of people have heard the song "Forever Ever,"
Right.
Right. But yeah, it's "Welcome to Forever," and
Right.
we want to show people giving them a glimpse into our lives, and talk about our life and our relationship and our day-to-day stuff, raising kids, and we'll talk about things that are in the news and just
Current.
our life. We'll
Yeah.
talk about the good and those days when we're not on the same accord. We'll discuss all
Right.
those things, just to give people an idea and a glimpse into
Right.
who we are, how we approach life.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's exactly right. So welcome to Forever Ever. I think too that I would love to do something on. There's a lot in our culture. There's a lot of infidelity that goes on, and I think that we need to have those conversations into what happens to the person that it happens to.
Yeah.
What happens to that person, and then how do you get past that pain, or do you? And so I think that we have to have those courageous conversations and talk about our people that's being their hearts are being broken. We have a lot of broken people
Right.
that's raising kids, that's trying to continue to make it, and they're going through life that's just broken,
Right.
And so I want to have those discussions and try to peel back some of the layers of
Okay.
what, how does that feel? When you found out, how did it feel?
Mhm.
What did he tell you to get over it, or did she tell you to just get over it? Or
Right.
did you just keep it and block it out, and does anything come up for you?
Right.
Those things, so that's real life. That's what a lot of our people they deal with it, and
Right.
it's a norm,
Right.
And so I want to uncover it and talk about it and see if we can help each other to get past
right.
the pain,
to help heal.
heal.
So
That's
yeah,
exactly right.
I think that's a good point you made, and we do need those things like that.
Yeah.
And so I think you all laid out a lot of good information here, and I thank you for your being candid and your honesty, and just want to encourage you all and wish you well, and just keep on keeping on. And once you get us that information, once you get the podcast up and going, let us know, and we will
Will
get
do.
that information out there.
Will do.
So we are signing off today, and we are signing off with Mia and Billy Tyus.
Tyus, Lighthouse Love.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that video and seeing them interact with one another. Whenever I'm around them, I always learn something new, and I'm inspired to go in new directions within my personal life as well as within my marriage. So I hope you feel the same after watching that video. And please tune in next Wednesday for a new episode of Husband, Father, Man. But until then, you take care and be blessed. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a man. Do you understand? Half of my life is unplanned. Most of the time I don't know what's next until I get a phone call or maybe a text saying, could you pick the kids up from soccer, grab some cake mix and